Westeros!
And welcome to our Morning Throners podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're the fucking Morning Throners.
And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We are your Morning Throners, and we got Davos 6 on deck. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Pretty good. Should be a short and sweet one.
Pretty good.
What's the summary for this one?
Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, he helps Edric leave, and then he goes and talks to Stannis. It's really the summary, right?
Yep, Davos escapes Edric. So while it's a short chapter, any thoughts on this, Kyle? Because this is something that I don't think there was any hint that Davos was had a plan to get Edric out of here before. Davos was clearly on the let's not burn the innocent kid side, but I don't think there was really any hint that he was going to get Edric out. So, and not that it's Edric's not a huge character, so it's not oh my god, holy shit, I think this is a parallel to Sansa, right? We're escaping somebody, not necessarily because Sansa wasn't in danger for the same reason, but
under the king, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly
trying to get out, under the king's nose. I mean,
Davos scheming a little bit. You like to see Davos doing some sneaky sneak.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I feel like there was a part where he talked to Sal about how there was a small contingent of people that did like him still, right? Or that were like-minded.
Well, yeah, last chapter we heard that Davos was creating this crew of what he calls the King's Men, right? Because all the people who are loyal to Selyse because they think it would win favor and they switch over to the Red God. Basically, the King's Men are the people who are loyal to the new gods, as in the Faith of the Seven. So that's kind of what the distinction is.
The fire cut.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into it.
Yep.
Because I guess I think the chapter's but the Edric Storm conversation is there's some unknowns at the end of the chapter, right? And kind of
for sure
it ends on a cliffhanger, and there's some mystery about what happens. Okay, this guy's going, where is he going, type of thing.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think for the most part, we could pretty much summarize the first half of the chapter as Davos has set Edric free. Obviously, we're not going to do it. We're going to go through it a little bit and get some names, because I just like bringing up all the names just so that we've heard them at least once.
Oh yeah, there's too many names in there for us to blast through.
There's not even a ton of names, but a lot of them are new names, right? A lot of these Kingsmen, like we were saying, are new names. So we'll go through some of that and stuff. But yeah, I 100% agree with Jeff. The really only important part of this is the part at the end, the conversation with Stannis. That's what you were saying, right? Basically when Stannis is there and we're telling him what happened.
Well, and what he kind of learns about the Red Lady as well, I think, is another key part of this. It's all in the same thing, but just
that part of the conversation.
She doesn't know everything, right?
Exactly.
She can't, like he said, she's blind to some things here, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it starts off with Davos not at the night fire, but watching the night fire, right?
Yeah. There's some. The sun's setting, right? They're praying for the sun to set, so that it raises again, right? That's the kind of ritual.
Yeah.
Thank you for today. Come back tomorrow, please.
Yeah. It goes over a lot of the prayers here, but yeah, exactly. These always take place at dusk, and they take place for about an hour. Davos says he knows he has about an hour to operate here. And Mel's down there, Stannis is down there, Selyse is down there, and Shireen's down there. The only other two people besides the family that they note are Axel Florent and Devon, Davos' own kid, who's Stannis' squire. So it makes sense.
Yeah, I thought it was. I think we know this, but he noted that Stannis was there, but not with them.
He wasn't saying the words; he was just standing there, but he wasn't actually singing the hymns.
That was part one, and then part two was that there was less this night than the night before. So
and it's continuously less.
Yeah.
Dwindling.
Are they burning anybody here?
I don't
any person.
There's got to be something burning, right?
But in the past they have burned people. It doesn't seem like they're burning anybody here.
I don't think they're going to burn someone every night. Come on.
Exactly. You're gonna
That's why they're dwindling. That is why they're doing it.
There's one less person every night.
No, I don't. I think it's kind of what Davos was saying earlier, right? Where it was less and less are believing, and they're kind of falling back to the old ways.
Yeah, that's a good point. 100% agree.
I don't have much from this first part until Sir Andrew comes and gets Davos.
Exactly. Yep, Andrew Estermont. So he is seems to be the right hand man, to Davos in this, and it's.
Have we met him before?
I think he was mentioned in the list of these are the guys that I'm getting on my side. The important part here is he's Edric's cousin.
He calls him cousin a bunch.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's why he's important here. Is he's going to make Edric feel more comfortable.
What's his last name? Andrew what?
Andrew Estermont.
Estermont, okay.
And is that a Florent relative, you're saying?
So I think Stannis and Robert's mother was an Estermont.
Gotcha.
And this guy's dad is an Estermont. And they were Stannis's mom and this guy's dad are brother and sister. This is actually a thing that I think George has fucked up, and it's what says one thing in the appendix and a different thing somewhere else. It might be like George. A grandfather. It doesn't really matter, but instead of his dad being the brother to the Stannis' mom, it might be his grandfather.
One further up.
Which I think just makes him a second cousin. It's still cousin, right?
Yeah.
That's where
they're still related.
I don't know the difference between once removed and second cousin, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Once you start talking about removed, it gets weird. I know second cousin. Second cousin is like you're a second cousin of your mom's cousin.
Yeah. So one generation off.
Right? Oh, fuck this. I hate this. This stuff gets too confusing.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have to go into it.
If removed and second is the same, I don't know if removed and second, like once removed or second cousin, is that the same thing? I don't know. We'll have to ask the Discord.
I don't know either, but I always thought that same thing you did, Jeff, and somebody I feel like once told me that that's not actually second cousin, that's first cousin once removed, and second cousin something else. But I don't know.
I'm going to say that they're the same more than they're different.
It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and then we get kind of the bigger squad. I mean, it's like half of the bigger squad of Davos walking with him, right?
And I don't even know, like, are these people here? It's confusing. Like, are these people here right now or not?
It sounded like it was. It seemed like it was like a walk down the hallway scene of like a movie.
For
like,
sure.
Oh, we're about to do something badass. Like the Avengers.
Well, they were standing watch and stuff.
100%. But then it seems like as he goes to the Pylos, he's like dropping them off along the way because he gets Edric. Yeah. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, and as he takes Edric to the shore, like he meets up with these people again along the way.
Yeah, probably got some guys guarding. They got some whistle men. They got some whistle men on the stairs. Like, hey,
yeah, these guys are like, kind of like guarding the pathway. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So we got the Bastard of Night song.
Yeah,
we don't actually.
Is Roland Storm. I think we heard it last time.
Okay.
I feel like I remember that one.
Gerald Grover.
Gower.
Oh.
Grover.
Auto correct. That'll get you.
That's fair.
That'll get you.
Gower.
And
Gower.
then I put Andrew Estermont again just because it said his full name this time instead of just Sir Andrew.
Yep. Exactly.
They're walking all smug like, like the
bedbug.
Yeah, the bedbug.
The bedbug.
I mean, for the fans,
that's a good one.
Listeners, Jeff was doing the like little Dwight from The Office shoulder. I guess it was. Is it Jim?
It's a
he walked away
all
smug.
Oh yeah. Look.
Describe its mood. Did it seem sleepy?
Stressed. But to be fair, it was a tense situation.
Fair enough. But after a bit, did it run away fearful, or did it walk away smug, self-assured?
So smug, like he thought it was funny, like this.
Bedbug.
Yeah.
Everything's a joke.
It's one of the better scenes. But one of the better,
one of the definitely the most memorable parts, yeah.
And the one thing I took from these guys is that they're like, "Yo, let's just go kill the Red Lady. Like, enough of this girl. We don't believe in her. She's a fraud. Let's kill her." And Davos was like, "Yo, no, we're not doing that. Like, she's gonna she's gonna see it coming."
Interesting thought by Davos.
Lewis, the fishwife.
Yep.
Right. Just because I knew Nelson, but didn't want to skip names.
Well, I think it's an interesting thought too. What Jeff was getting on there, like Davos's thought here is. Mel would see that like, oh no, we can steal Edric. She won't know that, but she'll know if we try and kill her because that's an attack on her person.
She can see her. She can see her better than just the outer world,
and it makes sense, right? Like, of course, anything that she might have going on would focus on her.
Yeah, and doesn't he even at one point bring up Crescent, like when Crescent tried to kill her?
Oh yeah, right here. That's what happened. He said we should start by killing her. Then urged Lewis, the fishwife. And he said, "No way! I saw Crescent try and do that shit, and he was dead before he even got to her."
I just thought it was interesting that he thinks of Crescent as the example because that happened to Davos too. Davos came like when he got back after the Blackwater.
Yeah.
He was like, "I'm gonna kill her."
Went straight to jail.
Immediately goes to jail because So maybe that's why he thinks this because it's like there's two pieces of evidence to she sees stuff that's gonna happen to her.
Oh yeah, he knows for sure. Yeah.
So his new technique is just to ignore her completely.
Yeah, pretend like she doesn't exist.
Yep. So they go up to Pylos and
Pylos. And then one other person that there was a name drop that came again. I don't know exactly how this works. If they met them along the way, Davos is talking about in past tense about Lewis the Fishwife and Tristan of Tally Hill. Basically, when they're talking about that, but those two other people are also Kingsmen, Lewis the Fishwife and Tristan of Tally Hill. And at one point, he was like, "There's no honor in sneaking, being sneaky."
This is where they mentioned Sunglass, which was the last guy they burned, right?
Yep. He's like, it's not honorable to die. It's like, we don't need honorable men. We need smugglers.
We need the smugglers. We need the Onion Knight.
Then it's then getting to Pylos.
Yep. So up the stairs to the study. Just Edric, right? No Shireen because she's out praying to the sun.
Yeah, Edric's a warrior's man.
But he had to do some math. He had to do some math.
Yep. Doing algebra. I always wonder what kind of math these guys were doing.
Probably like proofs. They're just proving triangles.
Didn't the Egyptians have like better math than us? Or like potentially that's why they built the pyramids.
I mean, there's shit that they've made that they're like, we couldn't make it this precise today if we tried. I think.
Yeah, that means they got some
like
good
pyramids
maths.
like being like perfectly lined up and shit. That's why the aliens did it.
Slight tangent. I saw that they're building a Bass Pro Shop somewhere, maybe in like LA or something.
In the Great Pyramid.
Something extra, just like in US somewhere. But it's in the shape of a pyramid, like a perfect pyramid, and just like it's gonna be so extra because it's like in Las Vegas or whatever that it's gonna end up being like the 7th largest pyramid in the world. Is it gonna be Bass Pro? It'll be like 6 in Egypt and then Bass Pro, an actual store.
Do they have casino table games too? Like how are they
The ones that'll be under it, yeah.
It's fucking crazy. It's like what the fuck?
Is there a nightclub? Does it turn into a nightclub at night?
Like capitalism is awesome sometimes, but then shit like that just like hurts me. Like, oh my gosh.
It's usually pretty shit.
Yeah. So I think the
like,
one
what
cool
if the
part
ancient
about this
Egyptian hold on, just what if like the pyramid of Giza, Khufu's pyramid, what if that was just like an Egyptian Bass Pro back in the day? You know what I mean? Like, how devastating would that be? Like, we open up a vault and we just find rows of T-shirts.
Maybe it was. Maybe they just had fishing nets on the wall.
I know, but wouldn't that just like
Some
break your
trucker
heart?
hats.
Like, we thought this thing was like, oh, from aliens or whatever, and it just turns out it was a fucking Bass Pro Shop from an old back in the day. That pissed me off.
Yeah.
It's in Memphis, Tennessee.
The big Bass Pro.
Bass Pro Shops at the Pyramid. It already exists, so.
Oh man, that just hurts me. I don't know why I hate that so much. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
All right. So the interesting part about this is that Pylos was on their side. Pylos is all in on getting Edric out of there because he doesn't want to burn kids either. Is that like what's his motivation? He likes Edric, doesn't want him to die.
Yeah, I mean, he teaches him every day. It's like his teacher. It's like if you went to your like.
Did Davos go to him and be like, "Yo, we got to get this guy out of there, or he's gonna die"? Is that was that the motivation? I don't think we don't really learn, right? But Pylos is on board, which he didn't know if he was gonna be on board.
We didn't hear about this. Now that you say it, like, could Davos have figured out a way to not involve Pylos? Because like you don't.
I mean, he could have just picked him up and been like, "Hey, Edric, walk with me. We got to talk about something. I'm the king's hand.
I'm the king's
Follow
hand."
me."
Yeah, like.
I mean, I think he could have also just like pushed through Pylos, right? I don't think he had a reason to be afraid of Pylos.
What do you mean, Davos?
But Pylos could be running
the rat.
to Stannis.
He could be exactly.
I guess, but I mean, at the same time, you just come in and you take the kid and just leave with him.
And
I don't know. He
sound the alarm.
He wasn't too worried about Stannis at all, really.
It sounds like Davos literally needs 30 minutes alone with Edric. Like it doesn't like literally just go wake him up in the middle of the
Doesn't
night.
take long. Yeah, I mean, he could have just been like, "Yo, come talk with me. We'll take a walk," and he didn't have to know.
Like jumping ahead a little bit, I was surprised by like just even reading now. Like Davos waited like 20 minutes from the time Edric set off to tell Stannis. Like I would have waited like a day or two. I would have waited till Stannis was like, "Where's Edric?" And then I would have been like, "Okay, it was me." You know what I mean? Like, no, don't hide it. But
I think he was trying to get out in front of it, though. I think that was like part of the plan.
But if Stannis was like, "Send our fastest ships now,"
send all my ships right now, get his ass back.
I mean, I get to nighttime and stuff.
But I mean, Sala's are his boats though. Like he doesn't have any boats left, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly.
Sala just be like,
aren't they?
"No, we're not going," or like he already told his guys, like, "No, we're not doing that."
Yeah, so I just thought it was surprised that Davos didn't wait like a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Well, long story short, Pylos is on board, but he doesn't want to leave. He was going to maybe go with Edric was Davos's plan because, like, I would get it. Like, Stannis would burn this guy first, right? Or maybe not just burn them all, but, like, he put Pylos in danger.
I don't know what you're saying. You're saying Pylos was going to go with him?
Yeah, that was part of it. And he was like, "No, my place is here at Dragonstone."
Well, I think Edric asked him.
Oh.
Wasn't it?
I don't know who asked him. I just know he didn't leave.
Okay. Yeah, somebody did here. Hang on. It says, "Are you coming with us, Maester?" The boy asked. "No," Pylos said. "My place is here at Dragonstone." So yeah, the kid was just like, you know, Like, hey, we're learning stuff. Come with
Oh,
us,
yeah,
dude.
Yeah. Right as they're on their way out. Yeah, when he's getting his like jacket
Yeah.
on and stuff. He's like, "Are you coming?" He's like, "Nah."
He's like, no. Yeah, where you're going, I'm not. I don't need to go.
Yeah, and then just to reiterate what I said, Davos had been uncertain of Pylos. Perhaps he resented him for taking Old Crescent's place, but now he could only admire the man's courage. This could mean his life as well. So
I agree. Like I kind of.
Well, this definitely proved his not value, but his values to Davos, and showed him that he's like, yeah, okay, I can.
For sure.
This guy's in it for the right reasons.
there's also no reason for Davos to throw Pylos under the bus if he didn't want to. Like we just said, he could have done it without Maester Pylos knowing. But we're spending too much time on that point. It doesn't really matter.
Yep.
All right, Davos. Salah's got a ship waiting.
The Mad Prendos. You can't skip that.
What's that?
The Mad Prendos.
The name. Way cooler name than any Nelson came up with.
I guess Prendos is kind of weird. Is that somebody's name?
Yeah, we don't know who that is, but Davos says it's named after a madman.
Okay, yeah, you don't know who it is, though, but
Yep.
No. So you locked in. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm with you. He wanted to say goodbye to Shireen.
And she obviously can't. She's praying to the sun.
well, yeah, he doesn't know. Essentially, is what's going on here. It's kind of like they're trying to skirt this kid out of here without telling him that this is covert and like he's going away. And it's against the king's wishes, because then he's like, well, then I want to see Stannis, and he's like, no, he doesn't want to see you. Haven't you seen him mad? He lies to him.
Yeah, exactly. Davos has to lie. I don't know if has to, but does lie to Edric.
Which is kind of funny, because like this is such like an unimportant lie, but even this like kind of
feels bad about
twists Davos inside a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's weird because like the whole thing doesn't twist Davos, like going under Stannis' nose and saving Edric, but like even lying.
Yeah, but lying
Edric.
to this little child. How old is Edric?
Older than Joffrey, I think.
Probably close.
18.
13.
Oh shit!
I was to say he seems more childish than that, to be like, I gotta say goodbye to Cherie, like and not know. If he was 18, I think they'd be like, yo, man, we gotta get you out of here. They're gonna burn you. Like,
yeah. Maybe I just thought he was bigger. Yeah, whatever. He also was like, wait, I want to see my uncle. This is fishy.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, dude, listen to the hand. Get the hell out of here. They get him out. He's on the galley.
Yeah, that's part of the lie. That's when Davos is like, your uncle doesn't want to see you. He told me.
Yeah.
He told me to take you so he doesn't have to see you. And if you want me to go tell him you're not going to do what I say right now, he's going to be pissed. And you know what Stannis does when he's pissed? And Davos shows him his fingers. And Davos is like, he was not pissed at all when he did this. It was all justice, like whatever. But Edric's like,
yeah, there was no hate involved in any of this. Yeah.
Edric's like, oh, that was not well done. Oh, but okay, I'm gonna come with. So,
all right, we'll go to the boat. Yeah. So anyway, Edric leaves.
He gone.
Yep.
He's gone.
They get
Safe.
down. Yep. There was some guards that were tied up, and again, Davos is just like, yeah, take them downstairs, let them go when the boat's out of sight.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah,
he just
I
let
guess-
them go too early. But it's kind of the same point I already made. We're not gonna linger on it.
Well, yes and no, though. At the same time, like him accepting his fate is really kind of what that is foreshadowing, maybe, I guess. Like once finding that out, that he was like going to tell on himself right away, it was like, oh, of course, like Davos isn't a shit dude, right? And that's kind of what he's doing with this. Rather than killing these guys to keep them silent.
Yeah, he's
or
not
whatever.
going to kill like 4 guys to save one
Yeah.
kid, right? Like the whole point is
Yeah.
we're not killing anybody here. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
No bloodshed on
That was
this
a
mission.
good way to put it. There
Yeah.
you go. Thanks, Nelson.
All right, so he goes right to the painted room, the painted table room.
My favorite room in all of Westeros.
Yeah, it's a cool room for sure,
It's cool. It's the
and
coolest
it's
table
depicted
ever.
well. It's
I'm gonna
depicted
have one
well
day.
every time. No, you're not.
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna make one myself.
I'll get you like a little coffee table version of it.
I'm gonna
Yeah, I
make.
was gonna say it.
I'm gonna make a different.
Where are you gonna put
I'm
something?
gonna
You're not
make
talented
each
enough.
kingdom out of a different wood, and then somehow like put them together.
No, so you're not talented enough. You're not
How
talented.
cool would that be? We'll figure it
It'd
out.
be really cool. You're not close to being talented enough for that.
One day though, in the future,
And
like
you,
20
and
years.
you have no like motivation to actually finish anything. You're not dedicated to anything.
Look at this podcast that we've had going for so long.
I was just gonna say, this podcast is the only thing you're dedicated to. Like everything else, 2 weeks and you quit. Like you
That's
just
not
have a bunch of wood laying around.
I got a bunch of projects to get back to. Is what I have.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So as Stannis is walking up and kind of painting, or not painting the table, lighting some candles, opening the windows up, he's just kind of reflecting on how he rose too fast. And back, at one point in his life, he was like, yeah, I wanted all these things. And, man, some old guy just dropped some wisdom on me, and I would have been cool with just a little house, some land, and my family. And can't go back to that.
So I was like, the blind bastard. I feel like we've heard that before. This is the guy that you said is the old guy who dropped some wisdom on him. It doesn't really matter, but this is the guy in the last Davos chapter, right? They get this letter, right? And it's kind of the letter that gets shown up at the end. But he's like, they get this letter, and Pylos is giving Davos this like lesson on the Night's Watch and wildlings. And Davos is like, oh, I've been up there. I've seen the Night's Watch and I've seen wildlings. I used to go on this guy's boat. He was like a crazy pirate
blind
smuggler.
bastard.
The
Yeah.
blind bastard. Yeah, exactly. So that's who this is. That old guy. And I think he got killed by the Night's Watch.
Yes.
For trading
For
with the
dealing with
wildlings.
the
exactly. Yeah. So that's the guy who used to tell Davos, don't overreach, which is funny because, I mean, we don't know exactly.
Overreached.
It seems like he died somehow of overreaching.
All right, so as he's also thinking about that, he goes out, and I think he tries to see, one, if he can see the galley, which I think that would be bad smuggling if you could see the ship, right? The whole point is that you can't see it.
That is a good point, Jeff.
See at these, he left his lights on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and minus.
Yeah.
Even I know you got to turn that puppies off.
There's also a weird part where he looks at constellations. He's like, oh, that's probably a good sign. All these like smugglers' constellations, including the ice
These
dragon.
are all my old friends.
Yep. But then he looks down from the stars to like the ramparts of the castle, which is all dragons like big shadows in the shape of dragons that are moving because of the
Terrifying.
fire. Like they're being cast by this fire that's like flickering.
When he's nervous, they're trying to bring him to life and all that. Like, it looks kind of like they're stirring, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because of the fires. And then again, there's like a thing where when he comes from the window, his shadow falls across the painted table like a sword. And then he just stands there waiting. And that's when he hears footsteps coming and Stannis.
Yeah.
It's funny because they're arguing about the boy.
I was going to say, that's my favorite part, is that they're arguing on the way in. I don't think they're arguing about the boy. They're arguing about if she killed Joffrey or not.
3 is 3.
Exactly, if Joffrey's dead
If
or
she
not.
was responsible. Oh. I thought you were saying Edric.
Joffrey doesn't think... No, the boy Edric. Is
Joffrey.
When I said the boy, I meant the Edric. But here, it seems like it starts with Stannis is saying is not 3. So they don't know about Joffrey yet. Melisandre might be saying, oh, I
No.
saw in a vision that he's dead. Trust me.
Yes.
She says that in a second.
No, I was taking it like he didn't believe she was responsible. Like, he choked on his food. Like, you're the fire lady. Like, you didn't cause that to happen. Like, sure, your shadow baby thing.
I don't know though,
killed-
because like he was completely on board with Rob, and there was no real fire
Yeah,
there.
that's true.
Same with the first one, right? Didn't he just like fall to his death?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he fell off he fell off a walkway. So exactly, yeah. I mean that's a good thought, Jeff. But I think what he's saying is just that he doesn't believe that it's true yet. Like
Exactly.
he's like, we don't have proof.
If we do go back, I'm going to say he was skeptical about. He's skeptical about it. Like, oh, you're the one that that did that.
In that last Davos chapter, for sure, there was like a whole half that chapter was about that. Like, oh, 2 of the 3 is done now.
2 is not 3.
Yeah, that was one of the points. But Jeff's right. One of the other big points that Stannis and Davos were making is like, Rob died. Like, how does that have anything to do with you? Exactly.
Yeah.
And they were like,
Well, and that's what he was saying. If all 3 of them, I'll believe it.
exactly. That's what led to 2 is not 3. He's like, I can understand that, but 2 coincidences is one thing. 3 coincidences.
And that's 2 is not 3. 2 is not 3. And now here's 3 is 3. Is exactly what. It's wrapping up that conversation. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this argument we're having is the same argument that Stannis is having with Mel as they walk into the room.
Yeah. And we hear about Joff again. He died.
Davos gives the legit. He's like, nope, she's right. Like, he is dead. We got official, real news, not from a vision in a fire. He's dead.
Yeah.
Who did it?
His uncle has said the imp.
Yeah. Tyrion is said to have poisoned him.
Yeah. That's funny. I feel like Stannis' first thought should be like, damn, I'm going to get accused of this. Like, they're going to blame me for this one. You know what I mean? Like, that would be...
I mean, they don't blame him for Renly. They don't blame him for anything.
I mean, they do. Don't they blame him for Renly?
I think Brienne does.
Stannis, I think they all think it's him.
Well, no, I think you're right. Everybody blames Brienne.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Except for
yeah.
Brienne.
Nobody
Cat,
believes.
maybe.
Nobody believes her ass.
Yeah, I think Jeff's right on that one.
Jamie does.
And Jamie now.
And Cat ain't going to court for it. So
yeah, Cat's not going to court. Yep. So he choked at his wedding, maybe poisoned. It was, maybe his uncle Tyrion. I think cool little respect dropped on Tyrion by Stannis here. He's like, oh, Tyrion's a dangerous man. I learned that the hard way on the Blackwater.
Yeah.
How many people give Tyrion respect there?
Finally, somebody, and it's for like being, maybe he doesn't know what Tyrion did on the battlefield, but like at least planning wise, he's giving him the credit for planning the Blackwater.
Yep.
But he also was kind of a badass on the field. We get Nelson, one of your favorite Joffrey stories.
Yeah, so you want to read that quote? I got the quote. There's a different quote we hear about it later. We've already heard that I'll hit.
This is your favorite Joffrey story where he's...
I think this is a good, interesting point of like perspective, right? Like a unreliable narrator.
Joffrey, I remember once this kitchen cat. The cooks were wont to feed her scraps and fish heads. One told the boy that she had kittens in her belly, thinking he might want one. Joffrey opened up the poor thing with a dagger to see if it were true. When he found the kittens, he brought them to show his father. Robert hit the boy so hard I thought he killed him.
The king took off his crown and placed it on the table.
Dwarf or leech, this killer served the kingdom well. They must send for me now.
Yep. So that little story about the cat, it's funny because in Tyrion 6, so a recent Tyrion chapter, it's the one where Joffrey like comes at Tywin in the council chamber and he's like, "You're a bitch. Robert always said so," pretty much. Tywin sends Joffrey to bed, and then Tywin says, "I did not fight a war to seat Robert II on the Iron Throne. You gave me to understand the boy cared nothing for his father." And Cersei says, "Why would he? Robert ignored him. He would have beat him if I'd allowed it. That brute you made me marry once hit the boy so hard he'd knocked out 2 of his baby teeth over some mischief with a cat. I told him I'd kill him in his sleep if he ever did it again, and he never did. But sometimes he would say things, ... So when Cersei explains this...
it was just a little mischief with a cat.
Exactly.
Not that he got some pregnant lady cat.
And we know Cersei doesn't give a shit about that kid.
Yeah.
I'm not saying what Robert did is right by any means, but like Cersei's point of view of this is like leaves out the horribleness of what Joffrey did.
He definitely needed some help for sure.
I mean, it's just Cersei's point of view. Like, oh, it's a fucking stray cat. Like, nobody gives a fuck about that cat.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah.
And Robert's
she's awful.
just like, you're a weirdo. Get out of here. Stiff arm, but much harder than the stiff arm.
I just think it's cool that like you can't really ever like it's there. Everything Cersei said was true. It is like to me, she left out like a kind of important part of the story.
She left out some important details. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, so Tommen's set to take over, right? They kind of bring it up.
Exactly. So the end of that quote was Stannis saying they're going to send for me.
Well, then I'm king, right? That's my favorite part. Stannis was like, well, fuck, this is great.
Perfect. Yeah, it all solved itself.
It's kind of crazy that he thought about that. Like, okay, I'm up. No, no, you're not. You're not even close. You're not even close.
Yeah, even when they tell him it's Tommen, he's like, no, that's not going to fly. They need a man's hand. And it's like, no, they said they're going to name Tommen and then rule in his place. Like, it's Tywin ruling. Like, Stannis knows, has to know that. Like,
it was Tywin before, too.
Exactly. It's a stupid argument saying, oh, no, they need a man's hand. They have to send for me. Like, what are you talking about? No way. And Mel's like, you know what we have to do? 3's 3. Let's do it. Let's wake the dragons.
Fuck yeah, I proved I know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
It's time. Give me the boy.
And when she says boy, Davos is like Edric Storm because Davos always likes throwing that name.
Oh yeah, he's been doing that.
Silence of the Lambs. Make sure you say your name a lot.
Humanize him.
Yeah.
Exactly. Humanize him. Yep. And when Stannis knows that Davos does this. So Stannis like turns on him, he's like, I know the fucking kid's name. Like,
shut the
stop
fuck up.
doing this nonsense. Like, I don't like it any more than you. But we got to do it. It's my duty.
Well, he's gone.
Well, can't do that.
Yeah.
Little problem. He's not here.
Exactly.
Sorry.
So Mel has a quote here.
Is it the prophecy one?
Exactly, the prophecy-ish one.
You are he who must stand against the other. The one whose coming was prophesied 5,000 years ago. The red comet was your herald. You are the prince that was promised, and if you fail, the world fails with you.
Yep.
Give me this boy, and I will give you your kingdom.
And Davos like, ha.
He gone. See ya.
Nanny poo-poo. You can't do that.
And your ass didn't see it. You didn't even know it was coming.
Not that. Well, he thinks that. He never says it, and he doesn't quite do the nanny poo poo. Because what's funny here is Stannis doesn't understand right away. He's like, "Oh, that." Davos is like, "Yeah, he's out to sea on like a Lyseni boat," and Stannis is like, "That fucking Saldor Sand. If he thinks he can ransom, like hold him for ransom and get more money out of me," and Mel's like, "No, you idiot! It was Davos. Davos did this."
This guy right here. He's
It's literally why he's hanging out waiting for you.
Yes.
All right. Stannis isn't happy. He was like, yo, you're supposed to serve me. Be loyal to me. What are you doing?
Yeah, this is treason.
I think right before that, a cool line, Mel's like, do you know what you have done? And Davos is like, my duty. So this is Davos, like, he's trying to find a loophole in this, right? My duty. Then it gets into what I think you guys were just saying. Stannis is like, this is treason. I raised you from nothing. Is loyalty too much to ask for? And Davos was like, all my kids are dead for you. Like, what do you mean? Like, come on, we can't play the loyalty game.
I will die loyal to you.
Like, what the fuck? Yeah, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah.
You won't find a more loyal guy than me.
It's like, you told me I swore an oath to defend your people. Is Edric not one of those people? That's the loophole Davos is going with.
Yeah.
If I learned anything from Suits, there's always a loophole to use.
Well, it's a Brienne. I mean, in this, we've talked about this before. Just kind of like the parallel between the two of them. The lowborns actually, upholding these knightly ideals better than the knights themselves, right?
Yeah, I think it's really Davos kind of it fits really interestingly in that like group of characters who like act knightly, but like is missing a piece of like the knighthood. Like Brienne acts knightly, but is missing like the male piece. Davos acts knightly, but like I would not like bet on Davos in a fight versus anybody, right?
Oh, really? Yeah.
I like he just doesn't seem like a fighter. He's like I don't think he's a fighter. He's a smuggler. Like pick like the worst knight we know, like knight.
Yeah, that's fair.
Honor wise and shit like that. I still think they're beating Davos in a fight. So I think it's interesting that Davos doesn't have like the fighting prowess. But you're right.
What about Dantos? Well, he's dead, but
I think it would be close. It was hand to hand. If we're going solo sloop for solo sloop battle, Davos
Drunk
wipes the floor
Dantos,
with him.
yeah.
But if we're on flat ground on horses or something, yeah, I don't think Davos is that guy.
fair enough.
So I think Davos, like you're 100% saying, I agree. He fills a lot of those like knight, like checks a lot of like the knight boxes for me, but like just like not the
Can't
fighting
actually
one.
fight.
Yeah,
He definitely upholds the code, right?
Exactly.
That's we'll leave it at that. So
Yeah. So they go on to I don't know at what point, but she's like, "Bro, you didn't even save him," which she doesn't really get into why he didn't save him.
well, no, she does.
She says everyone's
She's saying
gonna
pretty
die.
much we're all gonna die. You've doomed everybody by
True,
doing this.
true,
So
true.
like he's dead now. He's still dead. Just
all
now
dead.
everybody's
You killed
dead.
us all.
Exactly.
You're the
yeah.
worst.
Yeah. So yeah, she's pretty much like, look here, everything that happens for a reason. Like Azor Ahai, tempered lightbringer with his wife's heart.
it's not that long. I had this little bit as a quote. I thought it was a little bit too long to read, and I was just gonna riff on it. But let's just read it. It's not that bad.
Okay.
Okay. Stannis ground his teeth again.
I never asked for this crown. Gold is cold and heavy on the head, but so long as I am the king, I have a duty. If I must sacrifice one child to the flames to save 1,000,000 from the dark, sacrifice is never easy, Davos, or it is no true sacrifice. Tell him, my lady.
Azor Ahai, tempered lightbringer with the heart's blood of his own beloved wife. If a man with 1,000 cows gives one to God, that is nothing, but a man who offers the only cow he owns.
She talks of cows.
Davos told the king.
I'm speaking of a boy, your daughter's friend, your brother's son.
A king's son, with the power of king's blood in his veins. Melisandre's ruby glowed like a red star at her throat. Do you think you've saved this boy, Onion Knight? When the long night falls, Edric Storm shall die with the rest, wherever he is hidden. Your own sons as well. Darkness and cold will cover the earth. You meddle in matters you do not understand.
There's much I don't understand.
Davos admitted.
I've never pretended elsewise. I know the seas and rivers, the shapes of the coasts, where the rocks and shoals lie. I know the hidden coves where a boat can land unseen, and I know that a king protects his people, or he is no king at all.
Stannis' face darkened.
Do you mock me to my face? Must I learn a king's duty from an onion smuggler?
Davos knelt.
If I have offended, take my head. I'll die as I lived, your loyal man. But hear me first. Hear me for the sake of the onions I brought you and the fingers you took.
Stannis slid Lightbringer from its scabbard. Its glow filled the chamber.
Say what you will, but say it quickly.
The muscles in the king's neck stood out like cords. Davos fumbled inside his cloak and drew out the crinkled sheet of parchment. It seemed a thin and flimsy thing, yet it was all the shield he had.
A king's hand should be able to read and write. Maester Pylos has been teaching me.
He smoothed the letter flat upon his knee and began to read by the light of the magic sword.
Dun dun dun! End scene.
So kind of like Jeff alluded to, a cliffhanger. So what we got here, Kyle? What's going on?
I have no fucking clue, man. I don't know how he's gonna use this. Like the only letter, and I think you. Oh, I'm sorry if you might have quote unquote spoiled it earlier. I feel like you let it slip that this is the same letter that Davos was reading with Pylos. And that's what I thought it was, I guess. You know, the one that he was learning with like the I guess it's the wildlings or whatever coming.
Did he only read one? I mean, it could be assumed that he read others.
I think that was the main one they focused on in the last chapter. Yeah, I don't think it was. I think Kyle's right. Technically, I think it is a spoiler, but like I think in hindsight, it would be kind of obvious if we reread that Davos chapter right now. That like basically they talk about two things: the Dornish king, right, which was the history book that the kids were reading, and then the letter that Davos chose. So he might have only read one, but again, even if that's true, I don't think it's.
One, it's probably been a week or so since that, you know, right? Like at least. So who knows what it is, but I think that's what it's going to be. I guess is kind of like there's more important stuff happening. Like which is crazy to me, right? Because I guess like that's pretty much what Melisandre's been like trying to say, like shit is about to go sour, and then Harry's going to be like, look, stuff's going crazy, like you know, all like it kind of fits into what she's saying, and he's kind of counteracting what she's trying to do to fix what she's saying, which is kind of crazy.
I see what you're saying, but also on the other hand, it's like here's another huge problem that we don't have the resources to handle. That at the way you are, Stannis, you're gonna feel like would be your responsibility, right? Like, hey, if you're the king, this is your job, right? So, but it's not like it helps us like position wise at all, which is what Edric would have done. It's not like it's like, hey, I understand I took away your stone dragon, but here's this other ace in the hole we have. No, it's like, no, here's this other, like, almost debt is kind of how I would see Stannis seeing it. You know what I mean? So it's like, it doesn't help him at all.
Yeah, I know. That's what I guess what I'm getting at is it's like, I don't see the benefit, like what Davos's play is yet, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I am interested to find out, but no, I don't see it. I don't know that I have a good thing to go on here.
Not a whole lot to pull off of for Kyle to make he's just getting complimented on his bomb-ass predictions, too.
I know, I guess. And here I am. This one, maybe I should
just
come
fumble
up with
in the bag. Just throw something on the wall, see if it sticks.
I don't even know what to go with. Like, they burn Melisandre. No, that's not going to happen.
That'd be a hell of a sacrifice, right?
Yeah. Maybe it's like Selyse or Cherie? What are their names?
The daughter, Shireen.
Shireen, yeah.
Selyse.
Yeah, maybe it's one of them. Maybe he Stannis is tempted,
or burning family members,
or Melisandre tries to do one of them and she falls into bad graces with him. We'll see. That's my. If you make me make a prediction.
And is this to kill? Is that to kill Tommen? Is that to kill everybody?
That's the next leech.
So I don't think there's gonna be leeches anymore, right? Like
I know.
I'm saying that's a big sacrifice. What are we gaining from that sacrifice? So,
the dragons, right?
Oh,
like,
we're
that's
waking.
That's the because they have royal blood too. Then I guess technically, right?
I'm with you.
That's the only that's kind of why I was picking them. I guess is because there's a source.
I was going more for the motivation. What were we trying to get out of the sacrifice? But yeah, I'm with. All right,
stone dragons.
Stone dragons. Get them bitches flying.
Yeah.
All right. Say bye to Kyle.
We'll see Kyle in the next one for John.
I don't know, 7, 8. I feel like 8's a solid number.
500.
8.
John 8. That's what I said.
See the rest of you guys in the spoiler section. Bye, Kyle.
Bye.
Later, nerds.
Keep that in, by the way.
8 was your second guess.
No, but I changed pretty quick.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Bye, Kyle.
Bye, Kyle. Thanks for hanging out with us. See you on the next time for John 8. Nelson, what are your hot takes?
I don't have many, but the one I moved, I accidentally almost said it was, and then I realized it was related too much to the wall. But I guess it had snuck through earlier in the podcast because Kyle seemed spoiled on it. But
let's hit on Kyle's prediction: the burn Shireen.
I feel like that was a more short-term prediction, and the other thing is that hasn't happened in the books yet, and there's not really a sign of it happening in the books yet. So if that's a correct prediction, that's a prediction that most people would not have got.
I mean, I could see.
My thing is, I doubt he sticks with that prediction. You know what I mean? Like I doubt in a book from now, I doubt he's like, I still think it's true.
But if we understand Stannis and like I don't know. He's kind of going to go upwards in trajectory a little bit, right? He has some success at the wall.
Yeah, for sure. From where he is, I mean, he's very bottom of the barrel right now.
But if he ends up being back to a spot where it's like, oh fuck, this is my last hope.
I mean, he's not doing great.
I could then see it coming back to Kyle's prediction mind.
Yeah,
and I could see it being written in the next book or 2 books from now, like, oh shit, this is our last hope. Okay, I got it, Burner.
I should know this, but I think that might be one of the things that like George told Dave and Dan. Like, oh, this is true. This is definitely happening. Again, the longer we get without Winds of Winter, the less for sure anything is, though. Right? Like, this is a bad example because I don't think this goes away. Just because he might be like, you know what? Changing this thing that I've already said in the past is the only way I can figure out to finish this. This is a bad example because I don't think this would happen. But like, Hodor maybe doesn't hold a door. Maybe that's not where his name.
Nah, he's got to. It doesn't make sense.
No, I agree. I agree. That's a bad example, but like that type of thing. George has said this in the past. This is a for sure thing. Even that is could if somehow giving Hodor the name Horny Floor instead of Hold the Door. You know what I mean? If somehow that
he's just humping the floor.
Exactly. We need somebody humping the floor. That somehow makes him get past some writer's block. Then I could see it. Again, I think this is probably the least likely of everything. But that's kind of my point. Like, oh, Benjen's not cold hands. Well, maybe if Benjen being cold hands at the end of the day makes the story wrap up cleaner, I could see Benjen being cold hands.
Yeah, that doesn't really matter, though. I think that's a moot point.
But you know what I'm saying? My point is things that George has said in the past. It's been so long, you can't behold it to any of that. He could have decided to change his mind to finish
whatever.
the story.
I just thought it was interesting that it came to his mind where, like, me watching the show...
I never would have thought of that. Yeah.
I never would have thought about it until like they're literally setting up the pyre and like I'm like, oh shit, it's Shireen.
Yeah, like where do you get King's Blood? Even Selyse, he threw Selyse in there, and I was going to argue with it, but I didn't. I figured we'd.
Yeah, you didn't want to.
Selyse doesn't have.
Selyse has no
Selyse
blood
doesn't have King's Blood.
Stannis.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. She's married into that shit.
So for the wall thing, what I think is really interesting here is we don't see the next time we see Stannis is from a Jon chapter. He rides in to save the day.
What does the letter say? Like, hey, bring all the help you can because we're about to get fucked and the wall is going to fall?
Let me see. I can go back to that last Davos chapter and read it. To the 5 kings. The king beyond the wall comes south. He leads a vast host of wildlings. Lord Mormont sent a raven from the haunted forest. He is under attack. Other birds have come since with no words. We fear Mormont slain with all his strength. Davos finally realized what he had read, turned it over to see the Night's Watch seal. So I don't know. There might be more to the letter. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. He just didn't read it.
Yeah, because here the letter doesn't even really say like send people to help. It just says like this is what's happened.
Yeah, or So let's just say it doesn't say it. Well, I mean, obviously that's why they're writing this letter is to send help.
Two of my favorite quotes, I think, in the whole series. It might not, the Stannis one might not be this book. It might be early next book, or maybe it's Dance of Dragons, depending on if it's a Jon chapter, because we don't get Jon and Feast. But Stannis one is Stannis says, "I was trying to win the kingdom to save the realm, when I should have been trying to save the realm to win the kingdom. Like, I was trying to get on the Iron Throne and then be a king, when I should have just started acting like the king." Doing the stuff the king does, like save the realm, and then people will recognize me for that, which I think is like a one of the awesomest quotes ever. Right? Like, don't bitch about like not having the role you want or whatever. Just do it. Right? Be the guy.
Yep.
So I really like that quote, and I think that's kind of like this is the start of it. You know what I mean? Davos. That's basically what Davos. Again, it's like we don't see it in this chapter, but that's basically what has to be Davos's argument next. Yeah. Stannis reads this letter, and Davos has to be like, this has got to be you. You got to be the guy. What's interesting is in the show, we do see the reaction. Basically, Mel does a complete 180.
And she's like, yes, this is what you need to do.
Exactly.
I see it in the flames.
Yeah, exactly. What I think is interesting is when Mel says, give me the boy. Davos says Edric Storm. I'm talking about this chapter now. Davos says Edric Storm. Stannis turns on him. He's like, I know the boy's name. Don't give me that bullshit. Blah, 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 blah. Mel, right now, promise me there's no other way. He's like, if you lie, you'll die by inches. Because I was like, what does that mean? Does that mean he's literally going to torture her? Because then she immediately just reneges on it. She's like, you know what? There is actually another way. You know what I mean? It's like,
No,
what
I
are we
don't
talking
remember
about?
this. This is in the show, you're saying?
This is this chat. I think I'm kind of combining both. Stannis says he doesn't like this any more than Davos does, but it's his duty to the realm. He turned back to Mel and makes her promise this is the only way. He tells her that she will die by inches if she lies. And that's a quote. Die by inches if she lies.
What does inches mean?
I'm guessing that means like I'm going to slowly kill you. Like you're not going to die. You're going to die inch by inch. That's the only. I'm not sure. That's kind of why I had it in the quote because I wanted to ask about it. This
Never
is what I was
heard
going
of
to
it
bring up.
called a torture technique, but yeah, that makes sense. Dying. Little
That's
by
what I
little.
was going to bring up in the chapter. That I was like, maybe we'll talk about this later. Because my point is, in the show, he's like, "Is this the only way?" And she's like, "Yes." And then Davos is like, "But wait, here's this letter." And then Mel's like, "You know what? He's right. Don't
Oh,
kill
there
him.
is
We
another.
need
Wait,
Davos. There is another.
there's
way.
another scene in the flames.
If I'm Stannis, you just said this was the other way. And again, in the books, we don't see what happens. But theoretically, something similar where Mel like agrees to what's going on, and he's like, "Here," Davos like, "Here's this letter," and then they're on it like, "Okay, this is another way." Mel should be being dead, being tortured.
I mean, that's just the fraud alert of Mel. It's like, oh, well, the flames didn't show me that yet, but then, oh, this is brought in. Oh, now the flames told me something different. Like, oop, I just got another message.
I promise on my life, there is no other way until there is.
Yeah,
Then there is another way.
No, she's a fraud.
But it's like, until there
Fraud's
is, there's
one.
no other way.
Even though she's got some real shit, she's a fraud.
Yeah. That was the only real point I had. The only other thing was like kind of an open-ended thing. I don't know if there's an answer.
I got one question.
Go ahead.
What, Edric, going east across the sea or west across the little part of sea of the island?
So that was my next question. That was basically what I was going to say. Is the only open-ended thing to kind of talk about is like what happens with Edric, right? In the show, there was the meme. So there was no Edric, there was Gendry. Davos saved Gendry. Do you remember the meme from the show?
No.
Davos tells Gendry, just keep rowing. And this is like season 3 or 4. And then we just don't see Gendry for 2 or 3 more seasons. And everyone's like, oh, where's Gendry? And they're like, oh, he's still rowing. And even when Davos goes
west, isn't he? He's back in King's Landing.
He ends up back in King's Landing. And I think Davos, when he goes
Lame
to see Gendry, he even makes a joke about it. He's like, oh, not still rowing, Narcy, or something like that. Because it was a meme that they just like sent Gendry off and then never followed up with it for like 3 seasons. Here, it's not quite the same thing. We know he's on a boat. He's not in a rowboat by himself. Like, because in the show, there's just a rowboat. There's no like boat waiting offshore. Yeah. There's no boat waiting offshore. He just like sends them off in a rowboat. He says, just keep rowing. and Gendry's like, I don't know how to swim. And he's like, good. Like, well, then definitely don't fall out or something. Like, they made a stupid joke out of it.
Yeah, I don't recall what happens to Edric at all.
So I looked it up. I don't think we get much. The only I did see on the wiki that it says that it's, I guess, in some point in Feast for Crows, we hear that he traveled through the Stepstones, which is like towards the south, which makes you think like he's in one of the southern cities.
He's chilling in Dorne.
And then I guess in the Dance of Dragons appendix, it says that Edric and like some like his guards are in Lys.
Okay.
So, but I think it's interesting to be like, could he have come back?
Let me throw some crazy shit out there. Gendry's going to come back
Gendry?
Edric is going to come back and fight and with Gendry, and then this new line of Robert's bastards will be like king in hand, and then they're going to start a whole nother civil war because they're both bastards.
I can see that being cool. What I was thinking was along the lines of 5-year time gap, because remember there was supposed to be a 5-year time gap at the end of this book before the next book, which would make Edric 18.
Yep.
And like you're saying, a potential claimant to the throne.
Yeah, grown-ass man.
Is there an 18-year-old very likely claimant to the throne in Essos in Dance of Dragons, Feast of Crows? A different one, not Edric. Could George have maybe come up with a different character to fill Fagon? Could Fagon's plot have originally been meant for Edric?
That would be cool.
Right, Edric escapes. Somehow Varys learns that Edric is there, and he's like,
but
you
I
know
don't know.
what?
There's still there's already laid down Fagon stuff like right now.
There's not too much Fagon evidence yet, has there? Has there been?
Maybe not evidence, but like at least speculation. Like
we've brought it up a few times where Davos or Varys mentioned something about the death.
Baby was smashed so that you couldn't see it. I'm gonna say that's leaving room for speculation.
That's kind of what we've brought up, is like just the fact that there has been a mention that Aegon was killed in such a way you couldn't see his face. Like, that's really the only hint of Fagon so far. You know what I mean? Is that really a hint of Fagon, or is that something that George made work later on?
I mean, I think when you think about what Varys is doing, I think it's worth noting.
I agree. It makes more sense. I agree with what you were saying. That my original proposition that Edric was a potential original Phagon character. I don't think it's likely because I agree that Varys seems to be pro-Targaryen, and that's not really what Edric seems, unless
just backup plan.
Unless the original thought was Edric, let's train him to be a good king, and then let's get him married to Dany.
Yeah.
Maybe the Seven Kingdoms is more accepting of that, right? Instead of having, again, this would be in my mind, if Edric was the original Phagon character, how do you explain Varys' plot if he's still a pro-Targaryen? Well, you still try and marry Edric to Dany, and now instead of a Targaryen invading force, you have a Targaryen, your old rulers, and a Baratheon, your more recent rulers, marrying to conquer and throw out the crazy Lannister incest people that have taken over and are doing crazy shit in right now. You know what I mean? Like, Varys maybe is like, you know what? Let's use Edric to help us win over the people of Westeros.
Yeah, I just always find, I mean, even though like it's always weird that they're just like, oh, all right, we'll take this bastard. Like, let's just like in this time where they're like so poo bastard. They're like, all right, let's find a bastard. We'll legitimize him, and everything will be good.
Yeah, I think what I'm saying is a huge speculation. And even if it's true, it won't matter because the 5-year time gap didn't happen. I just think it's interesting that, like, Adric is an important character, right? Like, he's not a main character, that he hasn't been on page a lot, but he's very important in terms of proving the illegitimacy of Tommen or Marcella. It doesn't, not just Joffrey, but Tommen or Marcella too.
I mean, I still say that doesn't prove a whole lot, but...
Well, I mean, you're right. There's no DNA test. We've covered that before.
Oh, the Theed strong. Like, come on. Like,
I just think he's an important character.
Look at the Starks. They all look different. Why do the Starks kids not all look the same?
What do you mean? Jon, because he's...
Don't even think about Jon. Just think about Arya to Sansa. They don't look anything alike.
Arya is the only one that doesn't look Tully-y.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's against the... genetics.
They all look like Tullys except for Arya.
Does Rickon?
And maybe Rickon. Maybe Rickon. I'm not sure about Rickon.
Yeah, I only remember Robb and Sansa really looking like
Bran looks like a Tully.
To my point, like it's possible. So like,
yeah, for sure.
Oh, the Seed's strong. Like I get it. Like the book said everyone was dark with dark, but
I just think there's not many characters that like seem to be getting more and more important in the book as the books go along. And then like if there was like a line graph of Edric's importance, completely flatline book 1, slowly climbing book 2, slowly climbing but pretty level book 3, and then just a complete drop back to 0 for the rest of the books. Like he just isn't important the rest of the books. And maybe it's possible. No. I just think it's more likely that there were plans for him, and then the 5-year time gap was like, you know what?
I don't think they're done with him. I still don't think they're done with him. I think he's gonna. Again, there's no point if that's the only point of bringing him in is to prove the illegitimacy of the Robb's kids. Then there's no point of Gendry. There's no point of the girl in the Vale.
The problem with those people is no one knows they are Robert's bastards. I like all those characters. I think those are awesome characters.
They do know Gendry is Robert's bastard.
Who does?
The Gold Cloaks are going after him.
Only the people who would not want that known know that.
Okay. The rumor mill's out there. Cersei went on a murder spree. Guess what? The rumor is now out there. We're hunting Robert's bastards.
Here's why Edric is different. Edric is highborn. His mom was a Florent. Gendry, mom was a whore. Maya Stone, I think it was mom was a whore. Right. Okay. Edric is important because he's a highborn.
Okay.
So they call I'll take it bastard born instead of base born. So I think there would be again if there was going to be a bastard that was risen to the you're re-legitimized, I think he would be most likely.
I gotcha. He would be higher ranked because of his mom's birth, or because of both birth. Right.
Yeah. But yeah, again, I didn't really have an idea either way. I thought it was interesting to maybe speculate. Again, I'm not married to that idea that Edric was the original Phagon. I just think it's interesting that he doesn't ever show.
I think he's coming back.
I hope he comes back because that's kind of my point. Is like he seems too important to not do anything. Doesn't matter. We'll see you guys in the next one for John 8. Good one.
Is it?
Do you know what happens in that one?
He meets Mance Rayder attacks from the north.
Attacks from the north, exactly. John gets command of the wall. Send the fire arrows. Hold your blah 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 blah.
Loose.
But yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one for John 7, The Battle on the Wall.
Bye.
Bye-bye.